What's up, y'all? It's your boy, eBay Fight Predictions in the building. And I'm going to be breaking down Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier 2, the rematch. I love this fucking fight. It's awesome. But let's get to the fucking stats before we talk about it. Dustin comes at 22-6, fights out of Coconut Creek, Florida, age 32, height 5'9", and reaches 73. Conor's 22-4, fights out of Dublin, Ireland, age 32, height 5'9", and reaches 74. If we look at the rankings, Dustin is ranked as the number 2 lightweight in the world, and Conor is ranked as the number 4 lightweight in the world, which is really interesting. And he's also ranked, I think, 15 at welterweight, which is I don't know how he did that one, but it don't matter, man. I really took a really in-depth look at these guys' fights, right? I think I went their last 7. I think so. I watched the last 7 fights. And really, I kind of started off, I think, you could say maybe 8 or 9. It doesn't matter. But I started off with Dustin's biggest high profile fight at lightweight. You know, his first one really was against Michael Johnson. You know, he had done a really great job of kind of rebounding since the Conor McGregor loss. You know, he had beat Diego Ferreira, who's been looking amazing lately, Yancy Medeiros, Joe Duffy, and Bobby Green. But really, we all know what kind of caused the shift to featherweight to lightweight was, honestly, I think the Conor loss. You know, that Conor loss that Dustin had, you know, it was Conor looked amazing in that fight. Can't really take anything away from him. His in and out motion, his accuracy. The amount of kicks he used earlier in his career is really impressive. And it's kind of shocking. I don't know if he goes back to that. But, you know, that he kind of, it's kind of hard. There's not a lot you can tell from that fight, just knowing that Conor was the better striker out of the two. So, you know, and really what killed Poirier was when he tried to roll under the, what's it called, the hook, and he got clipped and he got touched near the back of the head, and that's what really killed him, and he ended up kissing the fucking ground. And, you know, Conor, he said it himself, like a flat-footed type, you know, Thai boxing style isn't going to beat him. But I think Dustin has really grown since that. But I felt like Dustin dealt with the same kind of adversity against Michael Johnson. You can say whatever you want to say about Michael Johnson now, but then that guy was a legitimate guy lightweight. He was a threat. And I wouldn't compare him to Conor, but he has a great straight left to like hook combo, and that's what he really landed on Poirier. And his hands are so fast, and he had some hop to his step. Like he was ready, and they had some beef. It was weird. I didn't understand the beef, but like when he knocked him out, and then he was talking shit to him. It was wild. Johnson was wild for that one, but again, it's that same in and out motion, right? So really what we see is that Poirier at this moment has really good boxing skills in terms of, you know, applying the jab. Offensively, he's good, right? He has, you know, good hands, good hand movement, keeps his hands pretty, like, you know, pretty high, right? He's somewhat defensively sound, but he's like a pit bull in there, you know? When he gets a lead, he'll just go crazy and start swinging hooks and become a brawler, right? He goes from boxer to brawler. That's the problem. And you saw it in the Jim Miller fight. This was a close fight, y'all. And this was 2017, so I guess I could give him some leeway. But really, if you're a Dustin Poirier fan, right, there is some solace to look in this fight. Because in the third round, Dustin did the smart thing. His legs were yeamed up. They were destroyed. And he went for the takedown. And that's kind of what helped him win the round. But really, it was insane. It was like, what the fuck? You know, like, what is going on here? I watched the fight. I remember the fight, right? I remember watching it the first time. But I forgot how close it was. Like, it should have been in my home. I kind of scored it a draw. Like, it was so close. It was a good fight, though. I'll give it that. And Jim Miller is super tough. I love Jim, man. But next up, you know, the Eddie Alvarez fight, the first one, the no contest. You know, I seen a tweet, actually, this kind of makes me laugh. Someone had tweeted, like, Eddie Alvarez had finished Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, and who else did he say? And Rafael Dos Anjos. And so many people were heated. And this was hilarious. You know, Dustin looked good in this fight. I thought he looked great. I just think he had a size advantage over Eddie. Eddie really couldn't do anything about it. But he clipped him, and then he did the same thing again where he was just like he kept like throwing these wild hooks at his head, and just he's on him like a pit bull, and then Eddie kind of gets him right back. He kind of clips him back, and then Eddie's like going for takedowns, and then he hits those illegal knees, which was crazy how bloody Dustin was over there. It was insane how thrashed his face was. But yeah, after that, he fights Anthony Pettis. This is the fight you guys have to really watch. I truly believe Dustin has to wrestle. He has to wrestle if he wants to win this fight. He has to mix it up. He has to mix it up. And what I saw in this fight, I think he knew Pettis was the better striker, so he decided just to wrestle with him. And he had a they were grappling and they were going back, and it was fun to watch. Honestly, they were really going at it. I actually forgot how this fight even ended, but yeah, it ended up via like he tapped I wouldn't call it strikes, but he had a rib injury like Pettis, and he tapped out. But he was on him. He was on him, and he went for takedown after takedown after takedown. And it made me appreciate how good Dustin's wrestling is. Because, like, for a second, I didn't think his wrestling was that good. But I was like, all right, this guy has some decent wrestling. He's decent at BJJ. So, really, he's going to have to be a boxer wrestler in there with Conor McGregor. And he's shown that in a lot of his fights. He's shown that ability to do that. And then his next fight, I feel like his greatest it's not his greatest performance, but it's my favorite performance. His fight with Justin Gaethje. Oh my God, there was so much Gaethje hype, and I was like, I think Poirier is gonna get it done, because I was not sold on Gaethje for a long time, right? And he got it done. He made that boy look like a fool. And the commentary, I love DC. I love Dominic Cruz. Those are some of my two favorite fighters of all time, right? But they was tripping. That's all I gotta say, man. They was tripping in there, and it was like they were discounting everything Poirier was doing. But I'm not gonna hate on him. But Poirier, even against, you can say whatever you want to say about Gaethje's wrestling now since the Khabib loss, right? But like he was able to take down the Division I wrestler, right? He took him down, and that's another thing. His fight IQ has grown. That's the real thing. You have to look since that fight. And Dustin is going to have to put a pace on him. And I stress this when I go through all his fights. He's going to, and he's able to do that. For him to win, he's going to have to put a pace on him, right? And, he looked amazing. That straight right he caught, Gaethje with in the fourth was beautiful. Fucking took his ass out. And then the way it was Herb Dean, the way he pulled him off, and the face Poirier made, like, y'all doubted me? What's wrong with y'all? And then what's funny, he fights Eddie Alvarez in the rematch, and he gets it done, man. This was amazing. Obviously, there was some controversy. I forgot about the 12-6 elbow. I forgot about that, bro. I was crying when I seen that, and they told Eddie Alvarez to stand up. And right after that, he gets like hurt. It was so weird. So that was kind of interesting to see. That made me laugh. But it was a fun fight while it lasted. They were going at it. But what makes this really impressive is that after Dustin beat Anthony Pettis, he asked for the winner of Eddie Alvarez versus Justin Gaethje, right? Instead, he beats both of them. That's a fucking warrior right there. That is a legitimate guy right there. So then, he's on this 5-fight win streak, right? And he's beating these tough guys, right? And he ends up fighting. He was on not a 5-fight win streak, was it? Yeah, it was more like a 4-fight because he had the no contest, right? So he ends up fighting Max Holloway, right? I talk about this a lot. I talked about it in the Max fight for the Cater breakdown, right? I ended up predicting Dustin because I seen the first fight. He beat him the first time, right? He's gonna do it fucking again, right? And what I talk about in that fight is that he had so much success with the 1-2, right, in the fight. But really what secured him the win, again, fight IQ, was the wrestling. When Max was getting his output in, he had the fight IQ to take him down, right? And he did it successfully. He did it a lot, and he was able to secure the W. He was able to secure the fourth and the fifth round like that with clinch situations, the knee, all of that. It helped him a lot. Getting those takedowns helped him to win that fight. And then his fight against Khabib, he got his ass. He got destroyed. Nothing really to say here. Khabib put it on him. He put a pace on him, a grappling pace that he could not take, and he ended up gassing out. If there's anything you gotta, they both Conor and Dustin had fought Khabib, but I would say Conor did a little better. I will say that. But Dustin had his moments. He did some cool stuff in the second round, but he got taken out. Ain't nothing to say here. But and then his fight with Dan Hooker, right? And y'all know me. I love Dan. That's my boy. This was a hard one for me to watch personally. I thought Dan was gonna. I predicted first round knockout. That's what I said, right, by Dan Hooker, and I really thought Dan was gonna catch him with that knee, but he was so close in the second round, man. He was so close to finishing that fool, but I saw some things that I know a lot of people bring the other stuff up about this fight, but I saw a lot of holes in Dustin's game in this fight, and this is where I'm really going to come down to it. Against Dan, his striking, his boxing, I guess Teddy Atlas said it best. He was admiring his artwork, right? And he would hit, Hooker with a few jabs and then wait for Hooker to hit him back. And that's what he did in this fight. And they had a lot of awesome a lot of awesome moments in that fight, but it just defensively wasn't good, right? Conor's not one of these guys. Yeah, Conor had his fights with Nate Diaz, but Nate, he has a chin, right? Dustin, it's like, we know what happened with Dustin and Conor. So Dustin can't fight like that. And especially if you think Dustin has a superior grappling advantage, go watch with the Hooker fight. Hooker isn't even known. Well, I feel like the main public doesn't know how good his wrestling is and how good his grappling is. But if you're a Dustin fan, you have to be put in shame to way how Dustin was, going for takedowns, looking like a baby. Dustin made Dan Hooker look like Dan Gable. If you don't know Dan Gable is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, right? He's amazing, and he made Hooker look like that. He made Hooker look like he had awesome wrestling, and Hooker does. He has great grappling, but no, he shouldn't have been that easy. Hooker stuffed a lot of his takedowns. The only one takedown that that Dustin landed, he only landed one. I get it. Dustin was going for them dumbass guillotines he likes to do, so I guess you could say it doesn't count. But there was a takedown where he took him off the fence, dropped him on his head like he was a baby. All right? I remember that, and it was embarrassing. And that's all I have to say. He got sunned in the grappling aspect against Hooker. Where he really won was the obvious striking and the damage that he put on Hooker, and that's where he won the fight. That's what really happened, and he took it, but he did not. And Conor is not I know a lot of people make fun of him and say, "Oh, he can't grapple and this and that," but he is not trash. All right, he is not a trash grappler. He just has fought well-rounded wrestlers, Division I wrestlers and guys that have wrestled fucking bears. Dustin, he would die if he fought a bear, if he wrestled a bear. He would get eaten alive. I'm sorry, but with Conor, obviously I watched the Dustin fight, but I started with Dennis Seaver. This was insane what he did to this man. I'm sorry, I laughed out loud. He punked him, man. I can't lie, but what was really impressive about this fight with Dennis Seaver is his takedown defense. Like I said again, he had good takedown defense. Yeah, Dennis got him down a few times, but it's Conor, he doesn't have bad takedown defense. It's his grappling cardio that is suspect, right? His ability to stop the third shot, the fourth takedown attempt, all the shots and everything, the shot to sprawl ratio is hard for him, right? That's what's really hard for him. And against Dennis Seaver, he was able to show how decent of a grappler he was, and he just took him out like he was a nobody. And it was funny to see how they were staring each other down, and he flips him off. And then his fight with Chad Mendes, again, Chad is an amazing wrestler, right? I think he was a Division I wrestler. Good fight, and a great fighter, and you could see that there was a different wrestling level between him and McGregor. But Mendes, even though he got those takedowns, it tired him out. And obviously that's always been Chad's like kryptonite is fucking cardio, right? So, it was what it was, and it was on a 2-week camp. So I love Chad, so I'll give him a pass for that. But against Conor, man, Conor did his thing. He was injured too, so it's like you also have to look at that. So, it was a fun fight. If Chad has nothing to be ashamed of, man. Even though he lost, right? He gave both featherweight champs and Aldo and McGregor like incredibly hard fight. Even Volkanovski hard fights. So he was never a guy that wasn't near their level. He was always with those guys. But against Aldo, that straight right, that right, man, or it's a straight left, or he is kryptonite, man. Like it kills people. Like, man, what he did to Aldo was insane, bro. It was insane what he did to Aldo. That shit should have been like, they should have turned off the lights for that fight if they knew what was gonna happen next, because that altered his career. Because not in terms of how he would win fights, but in terms of how people perceived Aldo. Aldo was a GOAT, all right? And now he's not even in that discussion. Like, Conor took that away from him, with that. And that's how significant that fight was, he took everything, all the hype, the title. People don't even know. Like, that's why people start calling Max the greatest, like, featherweight of all time, which was ludicrous, right? But, like, people don't even know that fucking Aldo defended his belt 7 times and was undefeated for, like, 10 years and shit like that for a long time. Like, man, it was insane, right? But then he fights Nate Diaz, and this was the first time we've seen Conor deal with adversity, right? And he got choked the fuck out. Nate was able to eat his punches. And that's the thing with me, is that if Dustin can do and can take, if he's more durable at 155, then he should be able to do this, right? But I just don't think he can. I just don't. And then he had his fight with Nate Diaz, the second one, the rematch. He came back. I was surprised. I rewatched this fight, and I remember I thought Conor clearly had won it. I rewatched it, I was like, oh shit, this is a lot closer than I remember. And obviously, but it's like, Nate, he has iron. Like, I go to that same thing. Like, can Dustin take those shots? His defense, all that, I haven't seen major. I've seen improvements in certain fights where he looks amazing, right, against Gaethje, right? He didn't get clipped a lot. Against Eddie, in the second fight, he looked really good, but like, I don't think. But against Hooker, and that's they say you're just as good as your most recent fight. I didn't see the improvements I needed to see, and I didn't see the durability factor. And Hooker, he's a good striker, but he doesn't have the power like a Conor McGregor, or the accuracy like a Conor in terms of his boxing, right? And Nate is like super durable, and I don't think Dustin has fought a real power puncher in his last few fights. Like, Max isn't a power puncher. Eddie's a good, they're good guys. Like, Pettis is kind of in that area. It's like it's so with him. He has power like sometimes, and sometimes he doesn't. It's weird, but like he hasn't done that. And Conor and Nate, he can eat a punch, And then what Conor did to Eddie Alvarez, right? You want to see someone get like eviscerated. This is what you got to watch. This was not competitive at all. Eddie against Dustin, there were certain moments where it was competitive. This was not. This was like man versus a boy. It was insane. And again, it's that, what he does with his footwork and the way he sets up that left hand, that cross. Let's just say the cross, right? It's amazing. Like he kills people with it. It's his footwork, all of it. It's on another level. His movement, it hurts guys, right? And then he comes back after fighting Floyd. He ends up fighting Khabib, and we saw what happened. Khabib, he took his ass out. This was a crazy one. I remember when I picked Khabib for this fight. I had a homie that loved Conor, and I remember, he was telling me, I was like, Conor's gonna win it, man. Conor's gonna win it. Stop being a hater. And dude, man, it was so great to see Khabib do this and finally get some recognition. Like, he was so underrated for a long time, even as champ, because he beat Al Iaquinta, and people didn't know how good Al was, right? They didn't give him his credit, and this was the time they gave him his credit, and he looked amazing in this fight. Again, I always give him props for this. Taking all the trash talk that Conor brought and just whooped his ass, and just got out there and took the W. Obviously I wish he didn't jump the cage that day, but at the end of the day, Conor, again, you look at this fight, his takedown defense looked good though. You look at all the three elite guys like in Khabib's title defenses, right? Let's say we include Al Iaquinta. Al Iaquinta is at number 1 in terms of takedown defense he showed. Conor's at number 2, and that's not a bad number 2, and then Dustin's at 3, and then Gaethje's at 4, right? I was in shock, like how good his takedown defense. Like, he is not bad. It's just his grappling, cardio, his strike, everything that deals with cardio with him. It's like, I think Firas Zahabi said it best, it's the touch of death with him, and there's side effects that come with it, and he gets gassed out, and that's really what it comes down to. And then ever since that, Khabib lost, he fought Donald Cerrone, and this one, I have to admit it, I picked Cerrone, and you guys control me all you want, but Cerrone's my boy. I suffered the ultimate defeat with this one. This was shameful. This was shameful. He eviscerated Donald, man. He made Donald look like he didn't belong in there. Did I think it was a fixed fight? No, I don't. I think he just was a better fighter than him. Just overall, I think that's just what happened. And it's hard for me to admit that. I love Donald, man. Donald is awesome, bro. And that was hard to watch. Just, him throw the head kick. And then Conor's just, his reaction time to just throw the head kick right back at him, like, is incredible, right? And he got him out of there, and it was what it was, But, I've talked about their fights and stuff like that. But let's really talk about how these guys can win, right? For Dustin, I think I've kind of hinted at it the whole entire, video. He has to put a high grappling, pace, and has to be on him like he did the Pettis fight, and then kind of work on him. And then in the third round, he can start implementing his boxing, right? And then that's where he can really dictate this fight and take the W. And that's where I see Dustin implementing his game plan. And then maybe we could see a finish, right? And then, he could submit. He has great jiu-jitsu. People forget he has really good jiu-jitsu. He could submit Conor, or he'd have to get a finish, a ground and pound finish, right? That's what he's going to have to be working towards to really win that fight. Can I see it? Yeah, I can see it happening. Dustin's a scrapper, right? Conor, on the other hand, sprawl and brawl. He needs to be high intense. He needs to break Dustin's will, because I know Dustin's going to shoot. And he has to put it on him. No space, like he did the first fight, in and out. Even though it was like in and out motion, right? He was like, hopping back and forth, right? It was a lot of pressure, right? And he has to put that same pressure, but boxing-wise, and, implement a lot of, like, great, pullback counters. Like, his pullback counters are amazing, right? Implement that and just really break Dustin's will, because he's not, we've seen him break, against Khabib, right? And he's not, if he knows he's not a better grappler than you, it kind of like, it disencourages him, and then he sticks to the stand-up. Like with Dan Hooker, he didn't have the greatest success in the grappling, right? So he was like, okay, let me hurt this guy a little more so I can get some success in the grappling. And that's how he fights, right? So I think Conor, I really do think Conor might have, I think he might stuff some takedowns from Dustin. You guys might be surprised. Like, Dustin's wrestling isn't the greatest, but he's taking guys down with high takedown defense ratios, like Max. So Max has a decent takedown defense ratio, so I'll give him that. But Pettis, I don't know. Pettis gets taken down a little bit too much. But yeah, I think Conor's gonna stuff those takedowns. And Conor's been drilling takedown defense. I never forgot when people were coming at Cowboy. So the media, I was so mad at them. Like, come on, man. And this was like pre-fight. And then like after the fight, it was just atrocious with Stephen A. Smith. But, they were like, oh, are you going to take this to the ground? Like, this is the only way you can win. It's like, dude, like, I can try to take it to the ground, but like, it doesn't mean I have to, because he might have really good takedown defense. Like, maybe he might be able to stuff my takedowns, And that's a real aspect of the sport, because it's like, if you look at basketball, right? LeBron James, right? Everyone's like, why doesn't he always like just dunk the ball, right? Because it's not that easy. There's going to be defenders there, right? You don't think Conor knows that Dustin's going to try to take him down? You don't think he's going to be drilling takedown defense? Right? You don't think, what I'm saying? Like, has he shown awful takedown? No, he's, what? Chad Mendes and Khabib, like, what is wrong with y'all? Like, and what, he's been taken down by Dennis Seaver. Like, I'll say that. But, no, like, and Nate took him down too, like, at the end of the fifth round, I remember. But, like, no, like, he's been drilling, I think his takedown defense is going to look good in this fight. It's his cardio, and I think he's going to put a real beating on him. I'm saying second round KO. And I have a number one rule, right? And I never, and I've broken this rule, but I try to keep maintaining. And I say this is a good rule for you guys. Never pick the guy that lost the first fight. For some odd reason, I don't even like Ali Quinta, right? I don't like him like that. I'm not a fan of him. But after I found out that he had beat Kevin Lee the first time and in the rematch, I picked him. I was like, fuck this, man. I like Kevin. But I was like, no, you're not going to. And the way Kevin was talking he was talking like an idiot. And it was like, it was so reminiscent of the first fight. Even though Kevin had made improvements, right? Like we're going to see in the Conor fight with Dustin, he still lost. Kind of in a similar way. You look at the first fight, and he's just, Al's just whooping on him with the striking. In the second fight, he's doing that in the fifth round, yelling at him, I'm the same old Al. I'm your pops, man. Like, he didn't say that, but that was the kind of energy he said, I'm the same old Al, huh? Or something like that. That's what he exactly said. But he had that, like, I'm your pops alpha energy. Like, I sunned you today, right? Against Nico Price, Vicente Luque, right? I love Nico, and I broke my rule, right? I ended up picking Nico. I should have known better. Even though Nico had made improvements look good in that fight, right? He got sunned in the first fight, and then he got sunned again in the third fight, getting hit with that hook, man. It's like, there's so many examples. Obviously, there's guys like Henry Cejudo, Michael Bisping, Cain Velasquez that have overcome in the rematch, right? But I just feel like you have to be a certain level of great. And I don't know if Dustin is great, but I don't know if he's that. Like, I'm not even trying to say Michael Bisping is great, but he was great for that day against Rockhold. I'll give him that. And against, like, Dan Henderson, which is where he's like, yeah, he has the I guess he's the GOAT when it comes to rematches. But I just don't think he has that in him. I think Conor has a mental edge over him. And I think he's going to get this done. I think, based on the fact that he did beat him the first time, it's not, I talked to some people that are picking Dustin, they're saying, oh, that's old news. It's not old news. It's not old news to Dustin, and it's in his head. I'm going to tell you, all the training he does for training camp, as hard as he fucking works, when he gets hit right in the fucking face by Conor, all the memories going to come back, and he's going to be like, oh my God, this guy's a little better than me. And I am not a Conor fan. Do not get it twisted. I am just I probably like Dustin more than Conor, but I just got to be realistic, man. That rule, I live and die by it sometimes. Like the guy that won the first fight, like TJ Dillashaw versus Cody Garbrandt, man. Like I can go. Oh my god, I can keep going if I wanted to. Like, dude, the first fight was super competitive, and then it was a wash in the rematch. It was disgusting. It was nasty. It was. Oh my god. Joanna versus Rose was nasty, man. That was nasty, bro. Like, even though Joanna did better in the second fight, but it's still, she beat her. Like, I'm like, what the fuck? I've just seen it happen so many times recently, especially, that I gotta go with Conor. I think Conor, second round TKO. I think Dustin's he's gonna survive the first round with the grappling, and I think, or he's gonna survive. They might feel each other for 30 seconds or something like that. And the clinch control, he's going to try. And I think he's going to get hurt, but he's not going to get finished. And then I think he gets finished in the second round. All respect to Dustin. I love him. He's a great fighter. He's a family man. Awesome dude. But it is what it is at the end of the day. I think Conor just has the mental edge. I think Conor's... and he's just really confident, man. It's almost like the cowboy fight. He's not even talking trash. He's like, I'm better than you. It's like death, taxes, and me beating your ass is just something that's always gonna happen. It's like that's the kind of attitude he has, So it is what it is. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to follow my Twitter, my Instagram. Go like, comment, and share. And yeah, love y'all and goodbye.